eating anything. I got a question that was, my 3-year-old picky eater isn't eating anything. Help, what do I do? And the mum was also saying that her child gags on new foods. And I was actually just in my DMs answering a question from a mum about also a 3-year-old who would be gagging on different foods, and the mum saying, "Oh, I've got a sort of different issue. He eats the typical kid foods, but is also gagging." So I actually asked for clarification from that mum: is your child actually a selective eater? And so, since we're at the start of the live, let's talk about that. Two of the quickest questions that you can ask yourself to find out if your child's picky eating is actually problem eating is, one, how long have they been picky? I guess it's 3 questions. How long have they been picky, and what portion of their life is that? So if they're 5 years old and they've been picky since they were 2, but they've only been eating since they were 6 months old, that's like quite a large, substantial portion of their life. That's the first question. Second question is, are they eating foods, a variety of foods from all the food groups? If your answer is yes, great, you probably don't need to be here. If the answer is no, shit, stay, and let's talk about this. So I was on a discovery call earlier this week with a mum who has 3 children, and the 2 main ones that were the issue were 3 and 4 years old, and they're very much snacking all the time, only wanting to eat snack type foods, and only wanting to eat snack type foods, not eating like normal healthy foods, and just because they're wanting snacks all day, that's what they're filling up on. And mum was just kind of sort of at a loss as to what to do about it, because when you've got 3 children and you're solo parenting, it's really a lot. And to not exactly, she actually had said to me that one of the things that she struggles with is setting boundaries around food. And that's something that I've noticed a lot with my one-on-one clients and my group clients, is and I talk about this all the time, because it's not something that we are taught how to do as parents. We kind of go from this phase of, we've got a baby and we need to make sure they're eating regularly, and it's our job to make sure that they're gaining weight. And then we suddenly get this transition between 1 and 2 years old, where we get our baby becoming a toddler, where they start to have opinions and they start to not want certain things. They start to be able to say no. And it's really difficult to know what type of boundaries and how to parent at the table. If you're here and you follow me and you've seen some of my other videos and things, you know that I very much subscribe to a respectful, gentle way of parenting, but that's not permissive parenting. There are still boundaries that need to be set up around meals. If you have watched any of my YouTube videos, or if you haven't, go and watch them. Family Snack Nutritionist on YouTube. There's a video about schedules and the mealtime roles. If you don't know those basic principles, go and watch those 2 videos. There, when you go to the main page, they're in the top. Like, I've got 5, like top 5 videos. They're both in there. The mealtime roles sets up whose job is what at mealtimes. And the schedules video gives you a base introduction of how do you actually set up a schedule that works for your family. Because the clients that I work with, I don't have a go-to schedule, because everybody's schedule and day looks different. Like this mum that I was on the phone with for this discovery call, they're up at 5 a.m. My family is not up at 5 a.m. My schedule isn't going to work for them. Her schedule won't work for me. So it's about how to set up a schedule that works for you, and then how to stick to it, because that's the other part of it. Is it's fine and well to have the schedule, but then how do you stick to the boundaries around that? So there are a lot of phrases in there that I would suggest you start using to really help your child. One of them is like, the kitchen is closed. It's very simple. I did a video about that today on TikTok, actually, and it's just a very simple boundary that sometimes you need to help your child leave the kitchen. Like, you sometimes physically have to help them close the fridge, and it's not a punishment or anything like that. So these are sort of the nuanced situations, or the nuanced conversations and communication that I help my clients with. So I'm going to just dive in and answer a few other questions. So for the child that isn't the 3-year-old who isn't trying new foods, for example, there's a lot of, it all comes back to communication. And that's something that I really coach the parents that I work with a lot about, how to have conversations about food, because it's not just about the food that we're serving. Like, sometimes I get a potential client on the phone, and they're like, "So will you give me a meal plan?" And I'm like, "No," because the meal plan's not going to help you. And you already know that the problem is, what the healthy food is that you need to be providing your child. It's not that you're lacking. It's, how do I help my child, or how do I get my child to actually eat those foods? That's the bit that is the gray area that you're missing. And that's what I help clients with. So it's one thing to, like, and there's a few pieces to this puzzle. One piece is of course, your mindset piece. I can tell you to use the phrase "the kitchen is closed," but if your mindset is in a shitty place and you're not communicating it in an effective way, saying that phrase isn't going to solve your problem. It's knowing how to communicate this effectively and then how to follow through with it when that you're setting the boundary, but if your child is still going to the pantry to get food out, you're not following through with the boundary, and that's really difficult. I had someone commented on one of my posts about the kitchen being closed that her child would bully her, and I actually asked her for more clarification because I really would like to know, because these are the types of things I troubleshoot with my one-on-one clients and my group clients. So we've got a private chat, and last week one of the parents couldn't make the call live, and I asked her, I said, would you have any specific situations from the week that you want me to troubleshoot in the call? And she typed out a really, really in-depth description of what had happened at a meal. The child had a full-blown meltdown because he didn't want to eat it. Mum did communicate using the tools that we had talked about. She gave him a bath, but then afterwards, the only way she could calm him down was with milk. And so we troubleshooted. I'm really glad she put that in there, because if I hadn't have known that, that would very much impact how I would approach this situation. So we talked about how do you actually approach a meltdown, and we really broke it down into many, many pieces, because there's a lot of mindset that comes into this. If your child is having a meltdown about putting a toy away, that's very different than your child having a meltdown about nourishment, because we really stitch those things together in our minds as the parents. My job to nourish my child. And so there's a lot of mindset work that we've got to do there so that you can actually implement those strategies successfully. You have to be fully believing in yourself and believing in what you are actually doing to make it be a successful boundary that you implement and follow through with. All right, guys, I've got like 2 minutes before I've got to get onto it's my last coaching call for this group, and it's my last one for the year. I actually just put the new link on my website for anybody who wants to register early for the January coaching group. It starts the beginning of January. You can put down a deposit now. You'll get access to both my online courses, the Mealtimes Without Meltdowns one and the Stress-Free Sweets and Eats. That's a bonus. This is like an early bird special. There are already a few places taken, and there's the number of people I take, it's capped, because I need to get to know everybody in the group in order to provide you the support that you need. All right, let's see if there's a question that I can answer in 60 seconds or less. And of course, if you have questions about coaching and you're not sure that you want to just like dive in and put a deposit down, send me a message, and we can chat about, whether the group is the right fit for you. My picky eater also refuses to eat at the table with everyone else. So that's a really good one. And I'm going to say I do have a video that expands on this in longer form on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, Family Snack Nutritionist, and type in table, it'll come up 4 tips to help your child stay at the table. But that's also something that I can help you with. There was, in one of my groups earlier this year, there were like half the parents in the group were saying that their child would not come to the table. And after 2 weeks, kids coming to the table. It would be like 7 out of 7 days that the kid would run away from the table. And after 2 weeks, the mum was saying, yeah, it's maybe like 1 meal in 1 day that they run away from the table. So that's really huge. So those are the types of things that I help you with, because a lot of that has to do with communication, clear communication, setting boundaries and following through with them that are respectful and help you work as a team with your child and build a strong parent-child relationship. That is all I have time for, because I've got to run to my coaching call. If you want to join the next coaching group, starts in January. The link is now, if you go to the link in my bio and tap on small group coaching, the link is there. You can register. You can either pay in full and save 10%, and you get access to a bonus, both my courses immediately to start working on, or you can put a deposit down and pay the rest in 2 installments when the group starts. And send me a message if you have any questions about coaching. All right, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.